Also, the oh no.
Did you break it?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. What's this?
Well, oh no. Great,
But yeah, I
great.
guess we can actually get like officially started now. Um,
Okay, let's do
so the
this.
first, so the first question I had for you, Craig, that I wanted to know, which is,
Uh,
what do you prefer to print? Do you prefer to print minis or larger statues? And I guess the question would be
yeah.
why as well.
What do you like to print? That's a good question. So actually, I prefer to print something just goofy in general, like just funny or goofy in general, because it's just that sometimes I'm just lying down. I'm like, you know what? Why not? Like, why can't I print a slipper? like,
A slipper.
like I never seen a flip flop or a slipper being printed. So I was like, sometimes I'm just like sitting down and I'm like, I think this kind of thing, someone has to print this kind of thing, right? And I'm working in this company, might as well use that unlimited resin supply. Oh,
Did you,
Akuma Mods is here.
hey,
How's it going, man? Matt? So it's
did you at
in
least use
general.
a soft resin or did you use a hard resin when you printed your slipper?
What's I see what you mean. So of course I used the hard resin on this one.
Of course.
It's everyone calls that resin the Aqua 8K, the what was it called? The Aqua 8K. Come on, man, I need to remember the red clay. Red clay. Yeah, the
Red clay.
forbidden chocolate.
Oh,
The
yeah.
forbidden chocolate one.
That's one
Yeah.
of my favorite resins, at least for taking photos. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I actually share some photos around the groups, and some people say like, "Is that a chocolate or what?" And everyone calls it the forbidden chocolate one.
I had I should open that up. I want to show you something. I had used that. So I'm doing kind of working on some printer reviews right now, and I wanted to get a resin that was like the most accurate resin I could possibly get, more than any other that I could find. And the base is the red clay, because of all my tests, it's the most beautiful to take a photo of. It's I wouldn't say it's the absolute most accurate resin I've ever tested, but I grabbed another one that was, and I mixed the red clay so I could get the kind of that color of the red clay with a little bit of accuracy. I can pull that up. Just give me 1 second. It's a very, very beautiful resin.
Craig has to make Crocs with the new resin. Okay, man, Brian, sure. Like, hope. I think Crocs are not the people who go after people, right? Hope they don't sue me. But sure,
Crocs.
I'll keep that idea in my mind.
So do
I
you know the
did
history of Crocs? Sorry.
The history of Crocs.
Yeah, like kind of how they got famous. I don't remember the name of the movie, but there was a really old movie that was filmed, and they wanted to have some futuristic-looking shoes in it. And so the director saw these Crocs. That was before anyone knew what they were. They were famous, and so he put them in the video or in that movie. And so that's kind of how they got popular. That's how they got the money to get started. Because I think if it wasn't for that, they probably would have went under.
Oh, really? I thought it had something to do with the actual crocodile or something.
I don't know where they got the name from. Don't they have a crocodile in the logo? I have a pair of Crocs that I actually use for when I do 3D printing, so I can slip them on. And I can go into the 3D printing room where, in case I spill resin, I've got something on my feet. But, I don't normally wear shoes in my house, so I have Crocs in there.
Oh, there's someone that said Idiocracy, the movie. Hope it wasn't actually that movie.
Idiocracy. Actually, it might have been Idiocracy. I thought maybe there was one older than that one.
Two people say Idiocracy, so might have been actually.
They weren't Idiocracy, but I think there might have been a movie before that. But that actually might be it. Okay, I want to show this real quick. That's not that one.
I see you're a man of culture.
We're getting a bit ahead of ourselves. There we go. So this was that red clay, printed on the Revo. So I really wanted to have, I love that color. But I wanted to have, something where I could really get the voxelization, get that detail out of it. So it ended up being a mix on that one. But yeah, that's definitely the base of it, trying to get as much detail as I possibly can. Now, it's kind of hard to tell in this photo how small these are. But each one of these boxes is a little under 3 millimeters. So you're down to, point millimeters with these features.
That's called cube of calibration or something like that, right?
Nah, this one's just like the HD cube. It's not really designed for calibration. If you're calibrating on this one, I don't know, I wouldn't say you're doing it wrong, but you're definitely struggling a bit because it's kind of tall and it uses a lot of resin. It's more just to show off. Like after I calibrate, I'll print these just to see how they do. And I don't actually adjust my printer based on the results of this one. The goal is to calibrate before I print this, but yeah, what I love about this one is on the Revo, and I'm not sure how people can see because the stream quality might be downgraded a little bit, but I can actually get like the voxelization of this is printed at 30 but yeah, you can actually see all the squares are down there. So I don't know how
guys, the line is actually because of the stream. It's a really high precision resin. If you see any lines, it's probably the stream fault.
There was one line through this one. Not much I'm not sure what caused that one, but there was one line. And line's not always there. It just happened to be on this print that I got the photos of. I can't see these things till I take the photos, and I took the photos today. Just trying to get ready for this. But yeah, I mean, I can't even give you an idea of how small those things are. Well, here.
Cool. Oh, so before you're not going to be able to see in the
camera. But like, it's the details on that surface. It's really small.
Yeah, guys, it's definitely high precision resin, and if you see any lines, it's probably the stream quality.
Well, it's printed on the Revo, but yeah, the Revo is good.
I was gonna ask you some question there for a second, but I forgot. Oh, actually, before we begin, so I need to tell everyone that after this stream, we will share the secrets of, like, let's say the Lychee and Phrozen's, like Derek has shared his how do you call it, my brain is down and I haven't drank any coffee yet. The support settings. Yes, Derek has put his support setting in the document, as well as I asked all of the printing team we have, like I interviewed them, and I also put my own personal experience. So I'll share that document that how Phrozen and Litchi like does the supporting, as well as like the post processing at the end of the stream. We'll share you guys the doc. You can just use the doc as like just the basic tips to increase your printing success, and you can design models like this. Like,
yeah, it's a beautiful model.
It is. That hair, isn't it?
That's history about that one. Is that hair is made out of the RPG resin, right?
Yeah, the hair is actually made out of RPG resin. Because the RPG resin is much more like durable compared to the other Aqua AK series. So, and my team, I asked the guy to help me print this as well, and then we were working on the Snow-Gray Resin. It was beautiful, but then I was like, man, she has so many details, and I'm probably gonna, like bash her hair off or something like that. So I was like really scared. So I asked the guy to print the hair part in RPG resin, so that way I don't mess up, right? So that's where we are.
Well, here I can. Let's do this. Sorry, not that.
So just tell me a little. I think you should tell a little story about yourself. Like, how do you work at Lychee, and where did it all start? Like a little memory, I guess.
Yeah. So I guess it kind of started with my guide, right? That's where it all began. And I originally started my guide for kind of two reasons, which is weird because it kind of goes into how I started 3D printing. So FDM printing's been around forever, but it never really it just didn't hit me very well because it's kind of ugly. I know you can make a lot of like cup holders and shelves, but that's all I saw people make was like bookshelves, cup holders, and shelves. Like, I'm like, it's just FDM seems like the place to go if you want to build a bunch of storage. And so, but when I saw my first resin printer, which from a coworker, I was like, oh, this okay, this is beautiful. I like this. And when I was in high school, a really long time ago, I designed this robot in like a 3D class. And I had this idea, well, I wonder if I can print this robot. So I started redesigning it, tried to print it. It never worked because it was not even 3D print ready. And then eventually, I was having my coworker do it. Eventually, I just bought a 3D printer. And my whole goal was like, I'm going to print this robot and then I'm done. I'm going to sell it all. And that took about 9 months of modeling and reprinting until I finally finished the robot, which ended up being 250 parts for a robot that's about 12 inches tall.
Oh my God.
It's like completely modular, completely moved around. It's crazy. But in order to like make that work, I had to learn how to 3D print in a really weird way. So I never went online. I never did anything. I just kind of like made my own path. Once I was done, I was like, okay, I saw a coworker who had a bunch of models and they didn't look very good. And also he just told me he destroyed his printer by, smashing something through the LCD. So I was like, oh, okay. I have this whole process where that's basically impossible. So I'm going to go home and write you an email about going through my process kind of A to Z. And it got so big, eventually I converted it to a Google Doc, and there it sits still today, a Google Doc. And I just kept adding to it. And then eventually what I started doing is there was issues I didn't know how to solve, or I kind of got sick of like writing, helping people online, this writing the same thing over and over again. So what I started doing is, okay, there's an issue I don't understand. So I would go out on Reddit, Discord, Facebook, and I would find, my goal was 100 people with that issue. And I would help 100 people until I found the conclusion. And then once I found the conclusion, I could, test it on them. Then I would have enough data to say, I found it. I found the root cause. And then I would write a chapter on that thing, or like, find a workflow the same way. So that took about a year and a half to go through all that. And then, Lychee Discord was one of the ones I was really active on, trying to get that 100 people per an issue. And so eventually they just reached out to me and said, hey, would you like to come join us to do some like technical writing and stuff like that. And now I do more of this stuff than the technical writing.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of your shorts from time to time on the Litchi channel.
It's been a lot of fun.
Actually, some of the viewers, they also would like to see your the dragons, the robots.
Oh, you want to see the robot? Yeah, I got a picture of that. Let me pull that up real quick. I guess while I'm bringing that up, let me ask you the question. I want to know how you started, like what got you at Phrozen. Did you start printing before or after? And how was it that if you started printing afterwards, how was the transition to like learn how to 3D print as part of your job?
Oh, that's a good question. So, well, I was just around the time I was just a student. I was studying my master's, and at the same time I was just looking for a job. And they mentioned that when I was looking for a job, there was a part-time job at Phrozen, and not part-time, more like an internship, I guess. So I was like, okay, well, why not? I'll try it. I have no idea what 3D printing is. so I kind of just like studied everything about 3D printing. I checked a lot of videos on YouTube, and then especially the resin printing. Around that time I watched like Uncle Jesse, Vogman, the Vogman, and then I think around that time Ross Graham, what was his name? The Fallhammer, yeah. Fallhammer's video was also really good too. So a lot of great explanation, and then I kind of delved much deeper into like painting it and then designing 3D models and that kind of stuff. But of course, I didn't actually learn 3D modeling. I think that will take a lot of time. So as a Mongolian, though, my dream is to actually 3D model my own, Genghis Khan, like the king. I would love to model it and print it and maybe sell it, because that would just be awesome. If not, then I just want to see like the actual Genghis Khan statue on my shelf. I think that's one of my let's say a little like a small dream, I guess we can call it that. So I kind of went to Phrozen and they accepted me, and then after that, people I asked around the printing team, like, how do you guys print? So they taught me some of their processes, all about the wash, the cure, the printing, supporting. yeah, that kind of stuff. But in general, I just ask the printing team to help me support the models, because I'm actually like supporting the model is like, that's where I don't like 3D printing. Like I think supporting model is like the headache for me of the 3D printing.
Probably
So
you and most people. That's that's why the the pre-supported business is so big.
yeah, like I actually want to ask any of our viewers, like, does anyone here love supporting models? Like, if so, like, tell me about your experience, and I would love to like hear. Uh, there's a woman as Akawasha asking, any chance of sharing your docs?
Oh yeah, it's
We
online.
will like share it. Yeah, it's online already. We will just share it later at the end of the stream. So here we will just prefer to explain it now, and then I will explain after the stream, or at the end of the stream, or nearly the end. We will share you the PPT. Sorry, the document, and also the oh no.
Did you break it?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. What's this?
Well, oh no. Well, there's no actual harm to the model, but I think I broke the belt part. Well, okay, fine, it's fine. The printing team is gonna kill me, but all for this. Yeah. So this model, actually, the at the end of the stream, I also managed to talk to the Pixup guys, and then I also talked to the artist, so we can get like give you guys maybe like 10% off on top of this model. I'll explain you about the story of this model a bit later, but we can give you like 10% off if you want. And the artist is the really talented guy. More to that later. Yeah, Derek is showing off.
Yeah, there's the model. And also, I guess before I forget, there's the robot. That's it. That's what it looks like assembled. And so if you look in, like, for example, just the one gun, these are all the pieces it takes to assemble that one part. The leg, the head, shoulders, arms. Like the hands can be are kind of moved around with different magnets and stuff like that. There's different shoulder joints, so you can position the arms at different angles. And of course, these rotate. The cuffs rotate off magnets. There's a ball joint here that actually is 3D printed ball joint. I actually turned that into my test the balls of testing. It actually came from being the ball joint of the guy here to being that test there. There's like different accessories. So here's like the rack. This is the pin system for the kind of ammo belt. Kind of how it attaches to the ammo drum that sits on his back, which is that big thing, and that's what it looks like when it's all said and done. So it's a lot of pieces.
Is this a Gundam model?
I first started. I designed this back in 1998. So
wow.
Kind of before a lot of that came out. So, some of the designs aren't great. I think that the front-on profile is not the best, but I'm not a 3D designer. This took me a significant amount of effort to do. So yeah, it's anyway. I don't know when Gundam came out, but probably before that. But I had no idea of it at that time. It wasn't on my
really? So this is there's no way that's a completely original model, man. That has to have some Gundam influence on there, because I see
what existed in 1999. Well, so this gun right here is like a ripoff of a real. It's like a, it's like I changed some of the modeling around, 2.5 years ago. So like this can right here is obviously modeled off of a real gun, but very much changed. The head was kind of modeled off, another item, but I don't think anything else was. I think everything else is kind of like it just slowly made its way into that. Like these shoulder pads underneath the armor on top. That's that little smooth that goes underneath. That's original. The way that's designed there is all from. Same with this head. That's original from 1998 or 99, around that time frame. Yeah,
feels like this is a very Gundam. I don't know, man. I just see Gundam. Very Gundam influence.
Yeah.
Like,
When did
no,
Gundam come
Gundam
out?
is from like
19...
like a long time ago, like
Yeah.
1970s maybe,
I
like 70s, 80s.
okay. So
I think during that time,
but I didn't have
Japan
TV
was
growing up.
having. Sorry, what?
I didn't have TV growing up. Like we didn't have TV, so like we had no cable, no TV. So like I wasn't experienced any of that stuff. Like I never watched.
Oh.
Like I never had Transformers, never had G.I. Joe, I never had like we didn't have that stuff. So I think the inspiration for this one was an old video game that I had played, and they look kind of similar-ish, but not so much back then.
I see.
Remember no TV. Yeah, I grew up
in
Utah on a farm in an old house that only had fire. Like the way we kept warm was wood stove and coal, and we had no AC. And when we first moved there, my room was didn't have a roof on it, and it was full beds. So,
oh my god,
I grew up a little bit different than most people, I think. So, and then of course, by the time high school came around, that was changed. But yeah, I designed that in like Cinema 4D version like 2 or something like that. Really. 1979 is when Gundam. So, yeah, it's like way older than me. So I don't know. I just never saw it.
Cool. It's kind of interesting that your original design just kind of came out like that, and it's not like if you didn't have TV or any Gundam related stuff inspiration coming out of it, then that's actually crazy. Well,
it's just
I want to ask
tons of versions, like iteration.
I want to ask you about the Lychee though a bit, because I think we should move on a bit. It's been 30 minutes, and I feel like we just ask each other like one question. So,
okay.
I wanted to ask you like why do you prefer Lychee in general? Like because there are so many other like slicers, I guess, and I know you always use Lychee because sometimes I send you some models and you're like slicing it with Lychee, and I've seen your live stream as well. It's always Lychee. I know you work there, but is there an actual advantage of using Lychee over other slicers?
Yeah, so I picked Lychee long before they picked me. I tried them all early on, and it was the one that really just kind of struck with me. I think because I had done some 3D animation before, and Lychee's UI feels very much like that. So if you're coming from that world, it just kind of flows really well. I'm not gonna talk bad about the competition, but let's just say I got really frustrated with its UI and it's crashing all the time. So when I experienced Lychee, I loved it, and my guide, actually the original version of my guide had both, which was a lot of work to do both. And then you could say the objective of my guide was to make 3D printing make the perfect print easy. That was like my thing. And so in order to do that, I felt like there's a lot of stuff I needed to actually remove. And one of those things was multiple slicers, and a slicer that I felt was a little harder to use and didn't have as many features to do that, like that objective, make the beautiful print easy. Of course, again, this was long before I worked for Litchi, so I chose them long before they chose me. But I mean, I could show in here. This is a model I supported quite a while ago. It's a little older now, but I think part of why I just love Lychee is this is kind of a mess right now. But if anyone who's kind of seen some of my stuff, it's just like if you've used 3D modeling, it's so I know it's being able to grab things, drag them around like this one. If I want to alter the supports, I can come in here, wherever my mouse is at. If I hit F, it kind of zooms in there. But you can just quickly just kind of come in here and just move stuff around, scale it.
Okay.
You got so much power in here. You've got let's see, this one's hollowed out. So let's just zoom in on this guy. And if I go to hollowing and holes, I can do a like a suction cup detector. And right now it tells me I've got a few little suction cups here. And the suction cups will change color whether it's created by the hollowing. So here's an example. Here's what this looks like on the internal view. So I can see, where the holes are. I can get an idea of what's going on. But this internal view is actually code. It's not actually hollowed geometry-wise. But Lychee will show you the difference. So like an example, this right here would be a big suction cup, this skirt. And so if I do a detector on this one, I've got a little tiny one over here. But if I were to delete these holes over here, and I run it again, you'll see it shows how long before the suction cups are kind of no longer an issue on that one. So then I can come back in and say, oh, I need a hollow, even though that's, you know, that's the geometry of the object.
Well, that's kind of awesome then.
Yeah, and I can just kind of
that's awesome.
It just feels like I'm 3D modeling to an extent. So there's like there's so many tools now. I could go on forever and ever and ever with the different tools. A new feature that we recently added that I would say is really important. Let me just grab everything, turn it off. Let's bring in primitive, like something really simple. Scale it real quick. Oops. Scale it. How about we scale it?
So it has the suction cup detection basically. That's really interesting. I think I actually haven't seen that. So basically it tells you when to hollow the model and that kind of stuff, right?
Yep. It doesn't tell you when to hollow it, but it will tell you if you're going to have an issue with the suction cup, so you can resolve it.
But sorry, that's what I meant. No coffee today, so my brain is done.
Oh, that's all good. The next thing that's really great is the island detector. Now, it's because what's interesting on this one is I can actually change what I'm searching for islands. So this one, maybe not the best model. Let's grab something actually a little more complex. Let's grab the Lychee bird. We'll turn it upside down so we can create lots of fun little islands. I'm going to come over here and search for islands. I'm going to do a detailed search, which takes a little bit longer. There's another island search that's called real that's a little bit different, but we'll kind of save on that one. So right here, I'm only looking for islands that are 0.17 or larger. If I set that to 0, you see I have now 24 islands. So the islands, of course, are just, if you don't know what islands are, they're just kind of free-floating in space. So things that need to have a support connected to them. But if I can come in here and say, well, actually, I only want to support islands that are 0.04 millimeters. So now it's only going to show 17 because there's only 17 islands that are that big. And that's really good. So like what I like to do is my larger islands. So let's go up to like maybe 0.1. I'll maybe use a larger support tip for those. Maybe like a heavy, which is 4.4 millimeters. And then of course, as I go up, if I support all these guys, you'll see that the island detector goes down. There's only 8 left. Quickly come and click.
Mm-hmm.
Click. Let's just grab these real quick. There we go. Now I'm down to 2. Let's see where those are. There's one there. One more. Right there. Okay. So and now I can do. Okay. Well, now I care about smaller islands. So we'll do 0.05. And now, I'll grab the smaller ones, and I can choose like a light support or something smaller and come, grab these ones. So there's just a workflow. There's lots of stuff. I mean, it's just tons of stuff like that. That just kind of make it easier for you. The next thing that's really great is the grid. You'll kind of see how these snap together. That's using the grid support system. So if I want to use even less supports, I could increase that grid support, and they'll kind of auto parent together, and I can control how big that grid interval gets, or how small it gets. And of course, the interval is how.
Why is it called Lychee bird? Why do you guys have a bird mascot?
I have no clue. That's long before my time.
Literally nothing to do.
Yeah, I have no idea. And the last thing is the new bracing stuff that we added, where you can just go to structure, file, structure. Oh, come on. Of course, it's not going to have bracing. There we go. And there's auto brace everything, and there's lots of presets, so it's really easy. There's a lot of it. Adding in different rafts, however you want it to be. Yeah. That's pretty much why
Someone's asking whether you always manually support.
Ooh, yes. For me, because I don't get to print what I want that often. Most everything I print is like just research and discovery. I very rarely print something, pretty that I actually enjoy. Maybe once a month or once every 2 months. So when I print something, I want it to be better than what's out there, than anyone else. So I will generally spend a very long time going through and redoing supports. I want the final product to have no visible support damage without sanding. That's kind of the goal. And there is ways you can do that if you spend enough time. And maybe not no, but you can have it pretty close to no.
I see. It's actually really fun. I feel like you make supporting look way more fun than it is, because you have the knowledge, so you can kind of get creative with it. So
There's
for me,
people
it's
who are way
just like
better than
either I just ask the printing team to help me support. uh, I was like,
Can I?
bro, you need to help me support this and hope this doesn't fail. This better not fail because I have only one shot at this. And they're like, man, don't worry, we can help you support. So I'm like, thank you. Well, it's
What
just
about this?
actually this
I'll
is
train them how to support
this.
if they'll do all my work too.
I would say this is my favorite model as well. I think this is the VX Lab one. Have you seen this? Yeah, I think it's yeah, it's the cyborg. She's the cyborg from, I don't know like what kind of universe they are at, but yeah. The VX Lab guys are like the designer from VX Lab is so talented. Like he does this like really amazing design, like female models, and it just comes out perfect. Yeah, Brian. Yeah, it's VX Labs. Yeah, it's on Pixab. You can check it out. But yeah, we work closely with that guy. Uh, I really love printing his stuff and sharing his model. But these days, though, sometimes our printing team just prints one of their models. I used to be like, "Hey, can I get it?" And they're like, "Sure." But nowadays they're more like strict on it, so they just take it away from me. So I'm like, no. It's actually pretty heavy. It's really heavy. There's no hollowing in there, so it's actually like fully like heavy model.
Not only do you save a lot of resin, but it makes the printing easier because there's less weight to pull on the supports, so they don't cause as much damage. But you got a talented team there working with you to get stuff like that, especially full solid.
Is there like I know you just explained me before, but this is like one of the questions I have for you. Like, why do you prefer resin again? Like, I know, so is it just because it's more like detailed you prefer resin printing? Or is there a reason you just don't you choose resin over an FDM printer, for example?
Yeah, part of it is just the beauty of the accuracy. When you can kind of print what you want and it looks like what you designed, there's a lot to that. But also, I think there's this misnomer that FDM is stronger than resin, but you choose the right resin, and resin wins in strength, in kind of any strength you can get, whether it's elasticity, tensile strength, compression strength, shear strength. You get the correct resin and you cure it properly, it's going to win over FDM. So it's kind of like, it's harder to do than FDM for sure, but if you take the time to learn it, you can use it. And what's great about it is, like, the number one printed thing in resin is miniatures. Number two is manufacturing. And I think part of that is because, well, you can print miniatures, but then you kind of, maybe you have your army, or, you get backed up on what you're going to print or what you're going to paint. Then you want to make some money on the side. It's really easy to either, one, sell miniatures, or two, actually start designing stuff and start selling manufacturing stuff. If you get the right resin, you can do some really cool stuff with it. So I just think around the world, it just beats it, in my opinion. Outside the fact that it is a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, possibilities are endless. Like there's like dental area, there's engineering area, scale modeling, miniature building. There's so many things you can do. I actually even saw one guy who just prints a lot of historical figures. So his hobby is just design like known historical figures, like I don't know, Stalin. Who else was there? Einstein and Marilyn Monroe, like a lot of these iconic people. And then he just printed and just painted, and then he just makes a whole collection out of it. And he says, yeah, he will sell it once the entire collection is made or something like that. I think that was a really inspiring business idea. Brian said,
is he one of those guys who can, have make a Genghis Khan? Right? But with your face. Have make a
sadly, it's not someone, and sadly it's not someone I know. It's just someone I saw online, because mine is social media area. I've seen so many people like create like interesting models. Like some people do an entire like air ship I believe, like a big ship. I think there seems to be some market for it. A lot of people seems to actually like buy those kind of models for a very expensive price if you can actually accurately model the ship like well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one question that says, I plans on buying the Revo, but can Litchi use the camera model? We can slice for the Revo, but we can't use the camera or Wi-Fi yet, though it's planned. It's in the works.
Yeah, it's in the works. Next version of Lychee, I'm sure it's gonna be compatible with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a Revo myself, so
Yeah.
I would really love to have it as well.
Yeah,
At least the Wi-Fi.
J352
The camera, I don't know. I'm the camera's okay, but I really like the Wi-Fi would be nice. But we plan on doing both.
Yeah. So going back to our questions, though, I did prepare for you like one more
Okay.
question. Why do you? I know, like, okay, so this is like a long story, but I'll just shorten it. So the way I kind of know you is one day I was just sitting in my room and then just working, and then you wrote me hi, and then I seen you being active on Anycube group. So I was like, is this guy like, what's his? Why is he contacting me, huh? And then later I found out that you were also working for Litchi, and then you were also have something to do with Elegoo, and I'm like, what's going on here? How is this guy like with every group? So there I noticed that you were actually just like helping people a lot, like a lot of the users from multiple brands of printers. You were helping them to solve their issues, and you were kind of doing, I wouldn't say tech support, but I don't know if it should be that, but yeah, like you were helping people solve their issues, right? Is there like a big motive that you actually help people like this? Like, I know you help a lot. So is there sorry, I think motive is a bad word here because my English is really dumb right now. Like why, what drives you to help people like this?
Because I hate myself. No, it's a lot of work. Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's funny because I think the Tech Discord was the first Discord that actually asked me to admin for them, like help them out, and then Anycubic was second, and then Lychee was third. And so like it is just because I'm active on there all the time, and so I don't know, like the motivation behind it. I think it's dual purpose. One, it's somewhat self-serving because, like I said, I'm always trying to do research. So, like for example, when the new Anycubic printers came out, I wanted to know. Well, whenever a new printer comes, it doesn't matter who it is. I want to know, is there issues with the printer? And so I immediately, if there's a Facebook group or a Discord group or anything like that, when I join it and I start talking to people who have it and trying to determine whether or not people are liking it, if they're not liking it, what issues they're having, and I can learn a lot about a system doing that. It's a lot of work, but part of it is that. And so I'll actually buy these printers on my own because if I see a printer has a lot of issues, I'll buy it. So then I can try to troubleshoot the issues, fix them, and then publish a fix. Or if I can, and I've done this in the past with all the manufacturers, except for Phrozen, which is a good thing, right? Where I will find an issue either in firmware or in some design, and I will send them the kind of private them the information about it, and so they'll fix it. And there's been quite a few fixes, like with the that we all get to not have to deal with every day because of some of that. So part of it's self-serving, but the other part of it is I just want everyone to have a good time. It says number one reason, I think, is I want everyone to really enjoy 3D printing. I don't want anyone to quit. I don't want anyone to get frustrated and give up. I want to make it as simple as possible. And that's mostly it. I also think there's a little bit of when you help someone, you get a little bit of that instant gratification. And it can be a little bit addicting to help people. So I just enjoy it. Part of it's just that I really enjoy it.
I've seen many people, like, sometimes I share more content around like the groups and stuff, and then there will bound to be some people who is like, oh, your model, your content is so good that it's this close to make me go back to resin printing that I quit many years ago. And then he explains part of the reason was resin printing is so complex, and the Phrozen, your videos that you guys do, all these steps actually mesmerized me, but at the same time it actually told me like not to print again because I forgot how complex resin printing was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm. I would love to explain. Yeah, I would love to explain more about the our printing processes, because everyone has their own process, right? Like post processing. Like for me, printing is not the issue. Supporting is one hard part of it, and then of course printing is just you just turn on and print, right? I think the hardest part, one of the hardest part of 3D printing is actually like good post processing. Good processing is like very important knowledge to have, because some people just like, okay, I printed it, so I should just yank out the supports, like, wash it, yank out the supports, cure it, and there we go. That's here, you know, done. There's nothing else to do. Yeah, that's what like usually most of the people do, and to that I will say you're wrong. I'm joking. You can do that. You can do that. If it's miniature, I think it's no issue. But if you wish to construct some sort of like a scale model like this, like you can see how smooth it is, right? Like I'll even get closer. Like you can see the smoothness of the model.
Yeah. That's
sorry.
Here, hold on, let's do this.
Yeah, that's the Snow-Gray Resin. There is not many white high precision white resin on the market right now, to my knowledge at least. And Snow-Gray, Aqua 8K Snow-Gray is definitely one of those very underrated resins for me, because I really love the Snow-Gray resin as well. It's like white and high precision. What's there not to like? It's so easy to paint on them as well.
Yeah,
what is that?
I love it. It's got this like, it's hard to unless you've used it. It's really hard to describe the feel of it. But it's, and I don't, you know, I'm not going to get as close to the camera as you are because the camera's kind of far away. But like, one thing that's kind of impressed about this one is this cloak. This cloak is very, very thin all the way through. You know, it actually is a cloak that goes over the model, the entire model. And it all printed beautifully, you know, including the kind of the head and the, you know, that head is 2 shells that go over it, very thin. It's so smooth. It's probably one of the smoother resins that I've used. And so it's just perfect for like this kind of a model. I really love it. Definitely. I actually
brought the bottle here just in case if you talk about the model or something. Yeah, there you go. You can check it out. It's I'd say it's just that everyone shares gray models, right? And sometimes I just get tired of seeing grays all the time. So if you want to get creative with your models, and if you don't have like a strong, like, I don't know, don't like to paint too much, I think you can mix and match a lot of different types of colors. I think white is also really like, it blends in perfectly.
Yeah, it's, if you haven't used it before, I highly recommend it. It's really easy to use. One of the easier resins out there. It sands beautifully as well. I know some resins sand, they kind of scratch a little bit. This thing, like, it's like polishes up so easy. I definitely don't see it enough used. Yeah, it's one of my favorites, and like, especially, you know, I think it just mixes really. All this is frozen resin. You got the ivory with the red clay, with of course the, you know, the snow gray we just talked about, and then the base is made out of the hyperfine red. So all this is frozen resin, the whole thing.
Wow, it's a beauty. I would love to print with ivory as well. Ivory is definitely one of those underrated resins. Like I heard like a lot of people love the ivory color. It has that perfect like skin color thing going on. It's only on the 4K side though. We only have it on 4K. But if people do want, I can suggest a company like, hey, please make it 8K ivory or hyperfine ivory. It's possible.
You know, you
Purple.
Say that it's, you say that it's only 4K, but it's really accurate. It's pretty good. Like it's really, the ivory is really enjoyable to use as well. So, like, I would say it's obviously not as accurate as the, you know, some of the other ones, but it's not that far behind. It's even the 4K. I would print that and expect to get really high details out of it.
Oh, I see. Yeah, actually, it is. The detail is really good too, because I was talking to one of our experts, and his opinion on the 4K, 8K, and hyperfine was like, let's say hyperfine resin is like 99%, and Aqua 8K would be 95%, and then 4K would be on the 90% mark. So he still says 90% is still an amazing Aqua resin to have. So like 4K, even though it says 4K, it's still an amazing detail. So
here, we can do this real quick. Give me 1 second. While I'm looking this up, I do have one last question for you. Then we can go to the post-processing of how you guys work.
Sure. I'll explain it. The secrets of Phrozen is coming.
What is your favorite resin and why?
What is my favorite resin and why? That's a good question. So, believe it or not, my favorite resin is the RPG resin, actually. So it has a long history with me, and as well as our team and our company. So what happened is, at the time, by the way, this is the RPG resin. I actually brought the bottle. This, I would say, with detail, it would be in between 4K and 8K resin by detail, and by the how do you call it? Like durability is much better durability. So I would say this is one of my favorite resins, just by functionality and the details alone. But the history of it is, it's called the how do you call it? The community resin, we call it. Because around that time, our team noticed that our community people were mixing like Aqua 8K with Onyx, Frozen Onyx Impact Plus resin, right? An engineering resin, you know? So they were mixing like two different types of resin, and then mixing it up, get messy, and then printed that either 2080 mixture or 6040 mixture, then to get better durability out of it. And there were so many people who were telling us that, oh, Aqua 8K is amazing, but you need a better durability if you plan to make a miniature or something at least semi-usable out of it. And there was one person who actually painted the model like for 24 hours, by the way, and dropped the model, and everything was over in a flash like that. And the person was really frustrated, and he was asking for them. He was like, Aqua 8K is amazing detail, so I'm not gonna move away from it, but I still need some durability, man. And one of our people were like, hey, you should try mixing. And like that thing was going on. So I suggested the company, like we were all talking, like our team suggested that we should make this kind of resin a community resin. So we collected various data from the community, and we all put all of the data together, and we showed it to our company. Our CEO was there, and ultimately they all agreed, okay, fine, let's do it. And there we go. That's how it all happened. And this is why it's one of my favorite resin of all time, because we actually listen to the people. Like, it's something that what people wanted, and it's something that we managed to listen to them, and then we managed to make a product out of it to help them.
It is a really good resin.
Yeah.
It actually performs better than some, despite the fact that it's a flexible resin. In my experience, flexible resins are never as accurate. Kind of can't be. But I was talking, showing some pictures there. So people can kind of see maybe some of the accuracy and some of the tests that I ran on it. It performed so well.
Definitely. Oh, it's Walking Miniature is here. He says I remember the start of it. Yeah, he was actually one of those people who kept suggesting it. So he's actually one of the people suggesting to make this standalone resin happen. Brian Hamilton says, is there a dye we can add to RPG to darken it a bit? It's really a great resin. Yeah, I think you can mix dye with it, but not too sure. Usually we mix dye with clear resin. It's much more obvious, but I'm not sure how it works with gray resin. So
yeah, what I would do on that one, if you want to make it darker, is I would try to pick a resin that has a similar behavior, that's dark as well, and mix that in with it, like a black resin that has a similar behavior. Because I don't know, you have to be careful, because if mixing resin can be interesting, it's not like hey, this one's like super tough and this one's super flexible, and if I mix the two, I'll have, you know, like somewhere in between. It could completely backfire on you, and you could have a resin that is like just chemically, like it chemically just doesn't work. But if you can kind of play around with it and find the ones that do mesh well, you can kind of keep the properties while changing the color. But color can have a big impact. Even if it's like the same resin, but the color's just different, they can perform very differently in my experience.
True. Gray in general is a lot of people say gray is the best one, right? For this, like compared to the other colors or something like that.
Gray does a really, really good job. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, you know, how well this is going to show up on anything, but hold on, let's this one show up. There we go. So this might be kind of hard to see so much, but if we zoom into any one of these things, you know, there's like the calibration, you know, the settings that I used for it, and then so like for example, here's the you know, we talked about the Ivory, and it's crazy how, like, you know, this is a 4K resin, but it performs really, really well. I wouldn't say as good as some of the, you know, ones that are not, but if we zoom in, let's say like the Aqua 8K, even though the color is not as good, it's hard to maybe tell, like I said, because the stream quality, but it's pretty decent. I mean, what you could be looking here is maybe this little sorry, I guess my mouse isn't showing up, but there's a little in the square that's in the left side, kind of top left, with the pillars and the holes. What you want to look at is like there should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pillars, or 5 holes per row, and, you know, 5 pillars. And I could see that they're not that different. And those holes and pillars are like 0.0 or 0.2 millimeters, I think, is the smallest one. It's really, really tiny.
I see.
Yeah, it's, you know, there's your beautiful red clay.
The forbidden chocolate.
The forbidden chocolate. Yeah, they're all there.
It's been an hour, so I think it's okay for us to talk a bit about post-processing, right?
Yep, let's go into that one.
Sure. So I think I've sent you some videos. Maybe we can check out the first video, and then I'll just explain some ideas behind it. And some are very obvious. I can just mention it, and maybe with some extra tips or two.
Yep.
Wait, did I send you that one?
Yes, that was number 1. See, I guess you can't see it, but that's number 1. Is that not the one we want to watch?
Let's play it, because now I'm just. Okay. Now I remember I sent you this. Why I sent you this? Okay. So
it's a beautiful logo and a beautiful button.
It's just that was like something they already have in stock, so I just brought it out. Wait, is that the second video already?
Yep.
Okay, let's just go back to the first video, and I'll explain some few things about washing from our Frozen side. Okay, so okay, everyone, get ready. So this is gonna be important tips here and there. So when you wash the model, how long do you guys usually wash? Let me ask you, Derek. How long do you usually wash?
Well, if you keep it in IPA for longer than 3 minutes, you start to damage the integrity of the model for its forever life. So 3 minutes in IPA is about as long as you really want to go. I always go a little bit more. I'll do 3 minutes and then 3 minutes in a supersonic cleaner. So 6 for me total.
I see.
Yeah.
Our team actually does 1 minute on clean IPA, just one minute wash on a cleaner IPA. But if the IPA is kind of dirty, just do 1.5 minutes. They actually told me that if you do it more than 2 minutes, that thing happens. But if you say 3 minutes, then probably there's a limit, we know, or maybe every resin is a bit different. But I think generally could be like 2 minutes or 3 minutes, yeah. So don't go over 2 to 3 minutes. I think that's the thing you wanna try.
I can't tell you where I got the data from, but there's a very big company that shared some data with me that 3 minute mark is not like, it's not the worst. Like you can go more, but that's where you start to see like start to get that drop off there.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, the longer you wash it, it kind of like alters or deforms the model, right? Yeah, because
and it starts
ultimately
to
like
pull the because the resin's not always cured inside the model, so it starts to pull that out. And you get these little tiny. If you put it under a microscope, you'll see you start to get a little pitting, And that pitting is where you want to cure the resin, not remove it with IPA. So that's kind of where that issue comes into play.
Yes, and you should just, if you bought any resin, just make sure to look at the company's recommendations. I think every resin is a bit different because, for example, engineering resin in general, I think can do longer wash. So in general, like if we're just talking about like ABS resin or just like the standard resins or high precision resin, if you're on this area, I think 1.5 to 2 minute wash is decent enough, maybe 3. But if we're talking about engineering resin, though, for example, like elastic resin or dental resin or like jewelry resin, I think the wash time would actually be much different. Yeah, depending on the resin. So it's important to look at what the company recommends. In general, just 1.5 to 2 minutes for me is okay. Yeah. You can play the next video. So okay, so a lot of people always ask me, what are you spraying with? You guys already washed it, so what are you guys spraying here with? So the basic thing here is we are just spraying a clean IPA, okay? Man, it's every video is playing. Just kidding. So yeah, what we're doing right now is just we're spraying a clean IPA because dirty IPA, you get it out. The model, like there's still maybe 1 or 2 like very tiny areas the resin is not fully cleaned. So it's important to like spray some IPA to make sure it's a bit fully cleaned, and you can just spray it with some sort of like air blow gun or hair dryer, nothing hot, just a very cool but strong air to dry quickly, and just observe the model. If it has like a little resin left over, make sure to spray an IPA on top of it to fully clean it. Yeah. What did the Federico says? Oh, I didn't know that. I always watch 5 minutes. No, man. 5 is too long.
Well, I mean, it depends on your IPA. Like, my process is quite a bit different from yours, but it's because I don't have like the air gun and the big area to do it. So with mine, I just go down between buckets of IPA, starting with one that's so dirty it's black, and at the bottom there's like an inch thick of like dissolved resin in the bottom.
Oh my god.
And I swish it around in that one just to remove most of the resin, and then I go to like a cleaner bucket. So like my final bucket is the IPA, even though I've been using it for a long time, is like perfectly clear. And I just I have a big metal bucket that I like push inside of a 4-gallon bucket, and a metal bucket that just goes inside of it. And it's the whole room takes up a little bit of space, but it works pretty well. Like your setup is definitely more simple.
That works. If it works, it works. Like have 2 or 3 sonic cleaner there or washer, and just put one in, the dirtiest one, and the semi-dirty, and then the clean one. After 3 repetitions, more or less, it's done, right?
Yeah,
clean.
It's clean.
Yeah.
The best part is I don't care how dirty the first bucket gets. So I don't worry about cleaning my IPA. But I really like your method too, like having an air gun in there, just being able to spray it out. I almost like to incorporate that as like a final step.
I see. Usually, in general, we use blowgun. It's just much more efficient. It's super efficient, just like drying a model within like 10 seconds if you have a blowgun. Very fast. But we're very loud, depending on the blowgun. We just use the standard one, just hooked it up with the compressed air and that kind of thing, and then just air tank, and then just blow it out. But depends on people, right? Like if you have, you can just use a hair dryer. If it's like in a very cold temperature, then you can just use a hair dryer as well. Just make sure that if you use a blowgun, this is like an actual warning. Please use a glass like this, so that any support or any alcohol or something that bounces doesn't hit your eyes, and you have that red eye thing going on. So I would say that's another important thing. You can use canned air also. Yeah, you can use anything. You can just use anything that's cool air and that has some sort of air pressure on it, so you can clean it faster. Yeah, in my experience, hair dryer takes too long, but of course it all depends on the quality of the dryer, I guess. Yeah, you use airbrush? man, it's a big world out there. But if it works, it works. So like hot air is coming out of that, right? So you can just use this kind of glass when you're doing a blowgun one, and of course make sure to wear this kind of mask. This for standard. Every employee needs to wear one of these to to fight against the fumes and that kind of stuff. I think it's the brand is 3M, and the filter is I believe it's called N95. No, what's the filter called? 6001.
It's got to be able to. It's got to have the activated charcoal in it in order to absorb the VOCs. So, because you can't filter VOCs out, they have to be absorbed. So the carbon it'll actually, suck it up before you get to it.
Basically, yeah. So it's just the only annoying thing is it will leave a nose mark on you. So on me, it just like leaves a mark on my nose.
I use a full face
no,
mask.
it kind of looks cool as hell though. So if you're like this, and you have a lab coat on, and then you have a tall glass on, you actually feels like a chemist,
There you go. We call you Bane. Craig Bane.
I broke Batman's back. What are you gonna do about it?
It's like, damn it, my back again.
Gonna keep breaking his back. Yeah, but yeah, you should try. Everyone should try to get something like this to help with the filter, or if not, you can also have like your own little like a wardrobe or something to cut that, and you can drill a little hole there and then connect it to outside, like a vent pipe or something. That's another way to do it. Yeah. Joe, the only downside of this one is that it leaves a little mark on your nose. So I would say that other than that, everything is fine. So let's talk a little bit about continuing the post-processing. Oh, before we talk about the post-processing continuing, let me just tell you a little story about this model. So what makes this model special for me is that the designer is from Taiwan, you see, and his name is, I believe, the Doom Lord Ahio or something, I believe. And what he does is he makes these high-end toys or something for kids, and he, of course, normally doesn't sell his STL files online at all. Like he just no. Hear me out. No, not this one. So he has a separate thing going on, right? He has a separate STL files, and that's nothing to do with like a girl model. And on the side, though, he does have a little hobby to improve his sculpting skill when it comes to female figurines. So he started making 3D models, female models, like here and there, not many. He's just doing it for fun. And after that, like, this is one of his creations. I think you can only find it on Pixup. And the author is like, we were asking him, are you sure you want your model to be here? You're this popular artist and stuff. And then he was like, no, this is just a hobby thing. You guys just put it on Pixup for a cheap price is fine. So he agreed to put it on Pixup for like $10 or something like that. So I think it's worth it for $10. I don't know what's the market price is. Usually it's $20-$30 for this kind of models, but $10. Yeah. Yeah, that's where we are.
Yeah, $10 for that is fantastic. It's a beautiful model. I plan on having one printed for this one, but I didn't have time. So yeah,
you can also use I managed to get a promo code for this one. I'll put it in the document. This one, you can just put Queen is here. You can put the promo code Queen is here and get 10% off. So that's $9 down.
Nice, worth every penny for sure.
Yeah,
especially if you get yourself some of the get some of the ivory.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll kind of like do it like this one, like printer in different resins. It'd be beautiful.
Oh, what the Takuma? Your mic is a little bit low.
Maybe because I moved. Has it always been too low this whole time?
Don't think so.
It's turned up all the way.
No one else has said it.
It could be I was a little bit too far away from the mic. It's
but if resin printing God himself says so, it's
then
true.
It's definitely true. Then I'm definitely screwing up.
The God himself seemed okay to me. Okay, fine. I think we're overthinking. Yeah.
Here's your ML 400, right? The
yeah,
flexible stuff.
400.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's this one. It's actually like a 3D scan of my face. I'm gonna my plan on that one. I haven't done it yet because it's been so rainy and I haven't had time. But my plan on this one is to fill it full of red goo and to take it down range and explode it.
He still hasn't shoot it yet, though. He promised me he will put a bullet in his head, but
I'm gonna do it.
That hasn't happened yet. Can you try squeezing it just to showcase how tough it is?
It's got a skull inside of it. I shoved a skull inside
of it.
Oh,
I see.
So,
okay, got it.
I wanted it to be a little bit more like, but it still bounces pretty good, But yeah, I can't squeeze it because there's a thing in it. But like, it's super. This stuff is like, I didn't realize it was gonna be so like tough. It is really tough. It's great. It's some crazy stuff.
Yeah, engineering stuff is crazy. I want to promote engineering stuff as well to the community, but sometimes of course it's not that easy. It's very complicated to print with this, and also your engineering stuff, and then you print some sort of toy. I feel like it's a bit unprofessional as well. So it depends on what I have in mind, I guess. Okay, moving to our post processing. Next video, sir.
All right, let's go there. Curing the resin.
Okay, just curing the resin. Okay, so pause it. Let me tell a few points here. So, according to our printing team and my experience in general, is just you cure it we always cure our resins for around 30 minutes. We always cure our stuff 30 minutes, and if it's engineering resin, even more. So we never cure 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, never. We always use 30-minute cure. That's just enough time for resin to fully reach its functional property, in my opinion. That's how we understood it. And every one of our resin, if you notice, is almost 30 minutes. Unless it's clear resin, maybe it could be lower, but even with clear resin, we still also use 30-minute cure time. But it's up to it's just that there's this weird misconception going on. I don't know where it is from. I posted a few things in the online before, and there were people telling me oh, you need to cure it for 3 minutes, 5 minutes or 2 minutes. And I'm like, are you sure? If you want to naturally cure it, you need to leave it under the sun for like a whole day, one side, to be able to fully cure. And then you turn it around, you wait for another 24 hours for the things to be fully cured, right? And then there's this guy who's like, I'm doing it for 2 minutes. I'm like, what? I'm pretty sure that I don't know how strong your curing machine is, but that's not enough time at all.
There's so much misinformation out there about 3D printing. It's really hard to avoid it. That's kind of part of one of my goals is to find it, crush it. And this one, which is where cure for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, where it comes from is that it is true if you undercure a model, it will have more elasticity before break. But that's only true for the first couple weeks. So part of what I've been working on for a long time, and I've got a new piece of hardware that's going to help me finally finish it, is I'm going to test every resin that I could possibly get my hands on. I've got a backlog of maybe 70 resins now. And some of those pictures I showed was part of that. But part of what I'm testing is I print a bunch of test pieces, like dog bones and bendle pieces, stuff like that. And I break them and bend them and measure them after the print. And then I'll do it 1 month later. And what you'll see is that even resin that's not, that's flexible at first can become unflexible. And that's the whole thing is well, if I cure it for 30 minutes, it's going to become brittle. Well, it's going to become brittle anyway, because the resin is going to reach its peak cure. And the way resin cures is, I'm not get into it, but basically it's a reaction. And once the materials run out, the reaction stops and can no longer happen anymore. But that's when it's fully cured. At that point, UV just breaks it down like anything left out in the sun. But that's its peak hardness right there. And if you undercure it, it's going to get there anyway. It's just going to take longer to get there. So that's part of that misinformation out there is undercure it for more flexibility. Sure, for a month maybe.
Yeah, eventually it will still fully kind of cure it. It's just better to reach the full property of the resin, just get it out, you're gonna have 30 minutes and then just cure it for 30 minutes and it's gonna reach that full functional property of the resin, I guess.
Yeah.
Um,
I cured
there's
this head for an hour.
Oh yeah, so
Full hour.
Whole hour. Yeah, engineering resins take longer even. Like this elastic ones like this could even take longer, like 45 minutes or something. My team also told me that before. This person said, Achilles Mandel said, what if the model is exposed to direct sunlight? See, sunlight can like vary because it just moves around during the day. Sometimes the UV light is strong or weak. Just the only best advice I have for that is just put it outside for like in the sun for maybe 24 hours and then just rotate the model to the other side and then another 24 hours. I think that's just how I used to do it, but not sure if it's like 100% correct. What do you think about sunlight curing?
Well, if you want to get into the science of it, so the 405 is the best. That's where we get a peak, but depending on the wavelength that you expose your resin to, it's gonna cure differently. So if you expose it at a lower wavelength, it's not going to cure as deeply, but it's going to cure harder. So you might have multiple 3D printers. You might notice one of them where maybe your supports are harder to remove, or the colors are slightly different sheen, or a lighter blue or a darker blue. What that is that's because that 3D printer has slightly different peaks in its UV exposure. And so now you can eventually get to full hardness anyway, but while it's printed, it's going to change the properties of it, unfortunately. So it's another thing I'm working on for the thing is like, to get the hardware where I can actually test different printers to see not only is the light uniformity across the LCD, but actually where are the peaks at for different ones. So if you get lower than, in the 380 or whatnot, you're going to get a different cure in the sun. Of course, it's not filtered. There's a ton of band there. So it's going to cure very differently than your cure station is over a long period of time. But in the end, over time, it's all going to kind of come out as a wash. So it's all going to become very, very much the same after a month or two. A lot of these prints over here, let me grab one as an example. 1 second.
So, hey guys, I'm here.
Yeah, I wish I had a better zoom on my camera now, but like you can kind of see there's a sword here. And you can kind of see that it's, maybe get out of the way, you can see that it's not bowed at all. This print has been sitting on the shelf for about 2.5 to 3 years. There's no bowing on it, but part of the reason why there's no bowing on it is because they did a full cure, but I also coated it. So the UV light is not getting to it as much, which kind of helps seal it in. So this thing's reached peak hardness, but also if you have something that's like this, that's thin, and you want it to remain straight over a long period of time, get a good quality resin for one, and for two, make sure you cure it evenly on each side, because if you cure it, it can warp up depending which one's cured the most. So that's not really a problem with thicker parts, but a thin part like that one. But after a while, once you get that initial cure done, it's going to kind of stabilize, and then it's not going to be an issue so much anymore.
Yeah. Definitely investing. If you're gonna make a model and you're gonna use the model for a long time, or showcase the model for a long time, it's just better to invest in a really good quality resin. It's also good thing to think about.
Quick, one person's asked about this model right here. That's Chloe from Peaky Prints, is where that one's from. This girl.
Can you type it on the chat? Can you type the name on the chat, maybe?
Yep. Give me 1 second.
Any Cubic article says 5 to 10 minute cure in cure station. Nah, I'm not sure about it. In my opinion, 30 minutes is always the go-to, just for the resin to reach full stability, I guess. But as Derek said, eventually everything will eventually once it's out there, it's just gonna get cured eventually. It will take longer time. It's just better to reach that full functionality, like the end result, just quicker there.
Yeah. Yep. You're gonna get it eventually. Here's another thing people were asking. Oops. Sorry. Posted the wrong thing.
I cure around for 10 minutes. Then most resins go yellow if it's cured for any longer. Yellow, yellowing.
Clear will yellow.
Clear resin.
If you hit it with heat, it can clear it up again, but not too much heat, obviously. Clear is tough.
Clear resin is a bit of a oddball here when it comes to curing and post-processing. Like, our team has an entire workflow for how to work with clear resin, which is really pain in the ass. Let me tell you that. But okay, moving forward, going back to the cure again, I have
hold on,
another point.
One more question. Someone says
Uh,
immersing it in water helps cure it better because of the UV refraction. So yes and no. The problem is if water hits your resin before it's fully if water hits your resin at all, resin is very absorption of water. So if you live in a high humidity area, you might want to put there's like washing cure stations that actually get cure stations that get warm that can pull the water out before it cures them. That's very important. If you use water washable resin or you put your resin in water, you can actually weigh your model before and after. It's going to weigh more, which is why we use IPA, because the IPA will pull out of that resin really quickly. Never ever cure a resin with high humidity. It's never going to do well. It's not going to look as good. So even though there's some truth to the fact that it does, kind of filter out the UV and it kind of lets it get around everywhere, that's very much mitigated by the fact that a good cure station rotates. So you're gonna get anywhere anyway, and the fact that like if you're doing it for 30 minutes, you're gonna get a hard cure regardless. Especially if you got a cure station that's really well designed and it's curing at that 405 and it doesn't have a whole bunch of spare or random. If it's got high quality LEDs, it's gonna cure better, and you don't need the water.
Yeah. Quick crazy idea though. Have you ever thought of building like one of those cure stations where you can just put like a lot of mirrors, like covering everything with a mirror, and on top of it just blast the UV like a ray or something, and then it bounces on the mirror and then cures the model? I
had a shopping cart for a while that was my own cure station, completely, everything. Like I did my own bucket thing for the way I do everything. But what I actually found, I actually bought a cure station that actually did everything, all that. Pre-built, and it was about the same price as my shopping cart. So even though it's not as fun to buy something than it is to build it, I just bought it. It comes with a built-in heater, and it's pretty decent. But maybe if I ever have free time, I'll do it again as a fun project.
Yeah, it could be an interesting thing. Just put a lot of mirror there and just blast it with UV ray. Love to see it.
Just really
okay.
Nice
so another thing with the UV light, the cure station, in my opinion, is you need to, when you're putting down the models, if you notice any of the Phrozen short videos or something, when you cure, we always like put the model flat on the surface. We don't like pile it up like on top of each other, something like that. So because once it's curing, for example, you can see it, right? Everything is just by itself, like lined up by itself. We don't like put like another model on top of each other like this or something. The main reason is I heard that if you cure it like that, the model could warp on top of each other. Not too sure, but that's what I heard. I never done that before. So when you cure the models, make sure to line up every model by themselves and try to put it as flat as possible. Yeah, that's one advice I have for curing.
Yeah, make sure to flip them. If you're doing for 30 minutes, flip halfway. Or flip, if your model is complicated, flip it every quarter of your cure time. Because you really want to get it to cure evenly, or you're going to have some warping. On the parts.
Also our resin printing Akuma gods. Akuma method could fuse it with each other. Yeah, that's true. So don't put it on top of each other. Just avoid that one.
Hopefully you cleaned them well enough that they're not going to fuse. But yeah, if your last wash has dirty IPA on it and you cure that thing, they're going to be sticky. That's how you'll know whether or not your washing is actually good or not. If when you go to cure it and your model looks shiny or it's sticky, you're not washing it properly. That could be that you're using single stick. Even Craig's process where he hits it with the IPA and blows it off, you could call that a second second phase where he's hitting with the clean IPA. So single phase, which is where you have like maybe one bucket, one thing, and you're going right to curing after that, I would never recommend that. I would always have at least at minimum 2 stages. 3 is best if you can get to 3, but not everyone has the room or space to do 3. So it's 2's great. 1 sucks. Yeah. It just depends on your processes. For us, it just works. You just wash it once, spray, and Next one is so this is the sanding process, right? Okay. So sanding is an interesting thing. So, before we sand, do you have the other one, the one that I'm using, the Sonic Saber?
The cutter.
Oh yeah, sorry, I skipped one. My bad.
It's a bit okay.
I am terrified of sanding. By the way, I don't sand.
So this is the cutting process at Phrozen. Like we cut the supports like this, just like very elegantly. It takes time, I get it. But if you want to achieve this amazing quality print, this is something you need to do. So I actually, coincidentally, I have a Sonic Saber with me right here. People are interested in this product a lot. It's here. I got it here. So all you need to do is just press on the button. It will just turn green, and then now I can start using it. So when you use it, all you need to do is just press on the button here, and then it will vibrate. Like very tiny vibration can happen. But it's a bit of an expensive product, so I suggest when you buy this, it's definitely worth the money. Believe me, it makes the post-processing job much easier. But if it's too expensive, I can also suggest like a hobby knife, something like that can also work. So this can do wonders when removing supports. All you need to do is just press on it. Is it on? Let me double check. Yeah, it's on. So you just need to press, and then it will cut models like super easily like this. Like I'll actually show it to you here. Can you see it? Okay. So it cuts the supports like a fish. So you need to be careful when you use it though. So yeah, for rafts though, we don't suggest using Sonic Saber. Sonic Saber is for like delicate like support removal, as well as when you remove the supports, right? You have the support marks left on the, not marks, like just support, like little pointy things left on the model. So there you can use the Sonic Saber to cut those parts clean as well. And yeah, I would say that's the main use of Sonic Saber. Another thing is a bit sculpting. So this is another big tip from Phrozen. So when do you remove the supports? This is one of the debated questions around the community. So when do you remove the support it's actually neither. So sometimes, depending on the model design, you can remove the support before curing, or you can remove the support after curing. So usually we remove the supports. When we remove the supports before curing, I believe after curing part is, I believe, if it's a delicate part, like supports are stuck to a delicate part. For example, with this model, let's say a support is stuck with the hair and that kind of stuff. So we just let it cure first. And then once it's hardened, we use like a Sonic Saber to cut it off. Now, what about before curing? So if the support is, for example, stuck on like an important, let's say, a high detailed part, right? Let's say this high detail part, like a flower or something like that. If it's stuck on that part, it's just better to remove it first, and then you just use your hobby knife or something to sculpt the detail back on, like the detail area. So you can just sculpt it back on, and then you can cure it. That's one thing about support removals. Sorry, my English and my brain is.
Don't put a support on the high detail spots in the first place. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. Oh, it just goes into more details later. Like support is just like removal, and timing is also important. And for the sanding though, so after you remove the model with a Sonic Saber or a hobby knife or something, you just need to literally cut the points off, as some user wrote in the live. What is it? Contact points. Yeah, remove the contact points. Then Phrozen uses, usually for these female models that these models we have, like this kind of models, we use 400 grit sandpaper. Like 400 is enough for the job. Believe me. So 400 grit sandpaper is good. So we have like a 320 here. This is a 3000 one. This is for something else entirely. We won't use 3000 for this kind of model. Let me think. 400. So yeah, this is a 400 grit sandpaper. You can see it here. So you just sand it down, and yeah, that's it. just sand it down a bit until you think this is good. The feeling is okay. Then I would say that's it. And there's that one last thing we do, but we will go to that later. If you go into 3000 level sandpaper, that kind of stuff, it's much better for, how do you call it, clear resin. So in order to get a really good transparent resin thing going on, so you need to sand it down from 200, then 400, then 600, 800, 1000, 1200, 1500, 2000, until you until you reach that 3000 point. You need to like sand it down. So that's why clear models are very like actually pain in the ass to work with sometimes. And then you need to do a clear spray on it, maybe like a glossy clear spray on the model. And it will get that great transparency going on. And for these models, some people ask me like, okay, Phrozen, you guys sand it down, and that the skin was already white, right? How can you guys revert back to the original color, like, and smooth and all? So that's when we use or one of the things we don't show in the videos that often. It's this one. So once we put the model together or something, before we put the models together, we use this.
You got glue first, or no? You're doing something before you glue it?
It's something. No, before we glue it, because now we're imagine the model parts are still like by itself, right? We remove the supports, we work on it with a sonic saber, and then we sanded it down, right? And then after that, we will use these babies here. So these are this is one of those things called the clear spray, and you need to use the matte finish on it. So we use Tamiya a lot. Tamiya Clear Plus Clear. It's called Tamiya Clear something. TS something. You can Google it, and you can just spray on the support marks like that, the whitened area. Once you sand it down, the area is white, right? So you can just spray like a bit, and then everything, just wait a few minutes until it's dry, and it all goes back to normal. Yeah. We don't sell any sandpapers, Jeremy. This is a sandpaper from a brand called MadWorks. It's called, I can show to you here, MadWorks. So we use the sandpaper from MadWorks. Yeah, we have a bunch of them. I believe actually this Sonic Saber is the collaboration between MadWorks. Actually, check it out. Look, do you see it? Phrozen X MadWorks. Yeah. So
nice.
this was originally.
Do you?
Yeah.
Is there a version you guys sell of that one, or do you have to? Is that just you only you guys can get that?
We sell it. Yeah, the Sonic Saber, we sell it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you can just go to our website, and I'll put down the link on the document as well if you're interested, and you can just check it out. It's up to you. But believe me, Sonic Saber is a game changer. Like jewelry, guys love it. Every time I show the video around the communities, everyone's like, "Well, what is this? The magical knife that easy to cut? Is this a sonic vibrating knife?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's just what it is." Yeah, it's definitely. I do want to suggest our company to further improve this product in the future. Maybe like change the blade type, or to go into much like deeper area, too easy to remove supports or something. But yeah, that's where the Sonic Saber is. Yeah. If you want to see it in action, I can just cut something here right now, like maybe this Doctor Strange's arm or something. All right, I'm gonna try it out. Ready? All right, so I have this one, right? All right, so I'm gonna turn it on and cut. So you just need to put it like, put the blade on. Look, a smoke is coming out, right? You can see the smoke coming out just now. So you just need to put it down lightly, and then it will just pierce it through like a champion. Like even the fingers won't survive. Like, oh.
Yeah, just don't get your finger on that one. I saw you almost got yourself. I bet that thing gets through flesh pretty quick.
You know, sometimes sacrifices need to be made for the live audience.
Yeah. Well, you get the entertainment value up. So on that, so yeah, go on to the next video here. So then you glue it and then you stick them together.
Yeah, that's it. The gluing is, of course, for gluing though is also same. Like you need to use the Sonic Saber to work with the what's it called? What points was it? Sorry, contact points. You know the contact points, the little cube things that each model has. So you just need to use Sonic Saber to like trim the contact point a bit, and then just trim it down. Yeah, just trim it down a bit as well. Yeah, it's up to you. I don't know. Some models don't fit that well. I don't know why. So you can just use Sonic Saber to cut it down.
In my opinion, I mean, I could be wrong on this one, because it depends on the artist who cut it. But if your keys don't fit, that could be a good indication of overexposure.
Not sure. Every model feels different sometimes. Yeah, it's like one printer could have a great, like everything just fits naturally. But sometimes when you print another model, even though the printer is like dialed in perfectly, the points is still bigger. So I'm pretty sure it could be on the artist side of things.
I've seen
sometimes it does happen.
There are, but it's a little more rare that I've seen that. And not too difficult to check, like in the slicer or something like that, to see if the contact points are big or not.
Cool. And then ultimately in the end you can sculpt, and then you can just glue the model. I think that's not that bad of a idea. It's not. I don't have any tips on that one. Just glue it.
Final.
Akuma Mod says you can sculpt with Saber. Wish there was a different size now. I mean, you can sculpt with it. That's in like, you're just like imagine, as I said before, like imagine there's this high detail. This model I have here is a very high detail model. Check it out, Derek. Can you see this bird?
Oh yeah, that looks real good.
Okay, so imagine there are some support stuck on here or something like that. So you can just remove it, and then all you need to do is just use the blade to trim and like just add the detail back. Like just work with it. Like you can use the blade, or you can just use a hobby knife as well, and you can just work with it. And once you do that and you cure it, it actually goes back to normal, kind of like that.
So here's one. It's kind of moving kind of quick, but.
No,
it's
amazing.
I guess to kind of say like I missed a little piece there on her cheek. I'm not as detailed as you guys are at all with my stuff. I generally just get the supports. I just get the supports warm with the heat gun, and I pinch them off. I suck at sanding, and I definitely can't carve anything. So I just, for the most part, it's just all about where I put the supports. Maybe there's a little bit of sanding involved, when it pokes out. But for the most part, I just want them to look as good as they can right off of the printer, because I'm not.
I see what you mean. Well, at least you save time. Our method will take 55 hours if it's for this kind of model. So it's a lot of pain, but sometimes it's amazing.
I'll show one more thing here. There you go. This is some more stuff with frozen resin. So I'll include some of the calibration settings for a lot of the frozen resins. I've used most of their resin at this point.
Wow.
So I'll get you. I'll post those as well on the different resins out there for Chichibox based printer or an Anycubic printer. So that way you'll kind of, depending on which printers you have. I'm sorry, I know I just said the competition, but some people have more than one printer. But I'll have the calibration settings for most frozen resins for pretty much probably the most popular printers that you have out there. And
would you say this is your finest work? Dude, would you say this is your finest work? Yeah.
This one took a long time. I'll say that. This was kind of a pain to get going. There's a lot of resins involved in there, and I actually printed it with a lot more resins because when I do, I don't exactly know the color combination that I want. So it ends up where I have a lot of pieces left over, just trying different colors, because this isn't painted, right? This isn't painted.
Yeah.
There's basically no sanding done here. There's no Photoshop. I don't know how to use Photoshop, so this is just taken with my camera, and then that's pretty much it.
Well, this is like actually making my creative brain like work, because I always wanted to combine resins to make something beautiful, because painting will take many years to learn, in my opinion, especially if it's like I would say good enough, right? To be good enough, you need to at least have like a year of painting experience. And,
Yeah.
you know,
And I
there
suck
are
at
one
it,
way to make up. Yeah, I suck at it too, man. Well, there's one way to push it though, like just choose a different types, colors of resin and mixing it up like this is amazing. Yeah, this has
Yeah.
hyperfine blue, right? I believe that's the robot.
Yeah, hyperfine blue, and hyperfine red, and then the ivory, and yeah, that's it. There's the black. I didn't have enough hyperfine black to make the black out of it. I planned on it, so I had to use a different resin for the black just because I didn't have enough in the bottle. But
yeah,
there's some fun stuff you can do with resins and colors. Like this is, hold on.
Okay, so Akuma was asking, is it Lychee or Lychee? So
it doesn't matter, whichever one you want.
Yeah,
Lychee or Litchi,
yeah.
doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You can just like actually, I talked to Derek and I actually asked the question first. I was like, I told him like Lychee, but then I was like, I'm comfortable with Lychee. Is it better? And then they were like, Derek was like, yeah, Lychee is better. So no, both are fine. Both are fine. You said both are fine.
Yep,
Yeah.
I call it lychee slicer, lychee, but lychee is also fine. It's the fruit, so I don't know what's the proper way to. You tell me. What's the proper pronunciation of the fruit? The lychee fruit. Is it lychee or lychee? Like that would be the proper way, I guess.
Yeah. PSA: wear gloves when using Sonic Saber. Saved me from impaling my hand last week. Yeah. Yes, please wear some gloves. Yeah, that's true. Okay, so guys, I think we can share the document now. So I'll leave you guys with the document. So if you have any questions, you can follow me or Derek. We have put our social media pages on the document. Yeah, I put my Facebook and Derek put all of his because I only have Facebook. So reach me out on Facebook. All the products that you see here is all placed there. You can also get 10% off this wonderful model, Marika. Yes, thank you. And then you can also see a lot of the tips we talked about today there as well. And also make sure to check, of course, Derek Jackson's legendary document, J3D Tech's Guide to Resin Printing. I also put the link in the document as well. You can check it out. That document is a gold tier. For me, it's a golden, like if you have like a Lychee slicer, that's like the golden tier document.
It's more than just how to use Lychee slicer, but yeah, it's kind of everything from like print failures to calibration to even how to use your printer physically, like better ways to physically use it so that you will almost never crash your screen or drip resin all over it, extend the life of your printer by quite a bit. Yep. There's a lot of stuff in there.
Thank you guys for joining, and you guys been amazing. It was really great to talk to you, like chatting with you on the chat as well. Akuma mods, yeah, man. We hope we can collab someday. Who knows? That would be awesome as well. Yeah. Thank you guys, and check out the document. We will put it in the description as well after this, so you can come back to a Phrozen channel in the live area. The whole the recording will be there, so you can just check it out anytime. Yeah, I will put it in the description, the document. So.
All right.
Okay. Okay then. See you, man.
Fun, everybody.
Yeah, nice to talk to you again.
All right. Have a good one.
Okay. See you guys.